Okay, you guys, do you have plans this fall? Guess what? We have plans for you. September the 13th, fall in Nashville is amazing, and we would love, if you live out of state, for you to come be with us and experience the beauty of Tennessee and a whole day of learning. We're hosting a conference called Raising Capable Kids. Jump on our website, check out the show notes for a link, and we'd love to see you there.
Welcome to the Raising Boys and Girls podcast.
I'm Sissy Goff.
And I'm David Thomas, and we're so glad you've joined us for this conversation. Let's dive in.
Bart Millard is a Christian singer and songwriter, best known as the lead vocalist for the contemporary Christian band MercyMe. He is also the author of the book and the subject of the movie, I Can Only Imagine, which is based on his life and the story behind the hit song of the same name. The song was inspired by the death of his father and his reflections on faith and the afterlife. Married to his childhood sweetheart, Shannon Millard, they have been married for over 20 years and have 5 children, Sam, Gracie, Charlie, Sophie, and Miles. They live in Franklin, Tennessee, where they prioritize date nights and have an annual marriage retreat to nurture their relationship. We're so excited to share with you 2 folks that we have loved and enjoyed and respected for a long time. I always think about both of your movies, the actors and the people on the crew and all those things, to hear your story and to hear about the gospel directly and indirectly. I mean, I just feel like it, I'm sure, changes so many people. It does those of us who watch, but...
And to experience the two of you as real people. Trying to think. I can't imagine the impact.
It's different. This one, they're both this one's totally different.
Very different.
Just how way more. I'm a producer on this one, where the first one, because it was filmed in Oklahoma, I was really only there about a week when Dennis Quaid was filming because we were touring and busy. But this one has been, we were on tour. So Thursday through Sunday, I was on the road. Then Monday through Wednesday, I was on set until the tour ended, and then was there every day. Like it was fun, but it was nuts. Like
it was intense.
There wasn't time to take out the trash.
I bet.
Home in time to go to sleep, get up, go back to
check
set.
emails.
Yeah.
Right. Those things. Of course. We knew that. Yeah, of course.
And you also have all of our kids involved in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Are
so
they?
That's been a very different experience.
Wow, guys.
Do they have cameos or anything?
Gracie does. Gracie's in the red carpet. Barely, you can see her. Miles said he saw himself at Red Rocks. I saw some of the clips the other day for the first time, and Miles was with me when I watched some of them. He was like, and I didn't see him, but he's like, I saw myself. I was like,
They're looking for themselves.
All right.
So
of course.
fun.
Yeah. But there, when he's diagnosed, when he's younger, they're all like Jerry Maguire little kids with the great, hilarious lines. And some great actors playing them. So they're eating it up right now. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. They were on set every day they could be. And, sad when it was over.
Yes.
Like, it's okay. We all need a nap now.
Yeah. And they're seeing a time frame of life that they've heard about, but they didn't experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's been interesting hearing them process that a little bit.
Mm.
And things come out you didn't see coming, and you didn't even think it would bother them, or things they're really excited to see, or I understand that more, things like that. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. You just go in not knowing yourself what you're about to do.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then carrying 5 other people with you. Mm. It was an interesting 2 months.
Yeah.
Imagine.
What, though, I think having lost my mom, I still have my dad, but like, I wish I knew more. I don't think kids ever know enough of their parents' story. And the fact that y'all's life, the world's going to have forever, but they're going to have forever, and your grandchildren will have forever. I mean, what a neat legacy.
Yes. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, we had long talks because they were, 2017 to 2018, I guess, when the last movie came out. And so, they've grown quite a bit, looking back at pictures like, oh man, y'all were so little. And so, but like having discussions with them before, like when we got the script, was like, hey, look, they're basically cramming all of our lives into 2 hours. So, and they want things aren't exact,
Right.
The best way to explain it was like, if they sat with you and told you to tell us your whole life story, and I'm sure there's several amazing stories in your life, and they'll write them down. And then by the end, they're like, they want to make this movie that's basically the greatest hits of your life.
Right.
That, over 40, 50 years, whatever, but we got to get this in a very short time frame of your life. So, I may have hurt myself at 3, but in the movie, I'm hurting myself at 19 or that kind of stuff. Sure. It happened, but not the way,
Yes.
So there's an essence to it. And so explain it to the kids, like, yes, this is, you may look at something and go, wait a minute, a lot of stuff, they're so young, they don't remember. And so it's up to us to and it was more like, hey, they would always cut up at the house. So they created a scene where they're cutting up, and they're like, did that really happen? They're like, no, not exactly, but it sure could.
That a lot.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
I know. Yeah.
So good.
Oh, y'all, I can't wait to see it.
And it's also interesting because when you live something and you've talked about it before, you think you tell your kids everything, and you realize how much you actually don't. You think they already know it because you've lived it, you've mentioned it, and there's a lot missing in their lives that you really don't fill in. And that was an eye-opening thing for me. Like, I should tell them more, but it's hard to create those moments without it feeling awkward, especially as they're teenagers.
Right.
So let me just tell you a story. And they're like, ew, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it's hard to have those authentic, natural conversations in general. But I do think they need to know more about things we've experienced.
And that they're at an age now where they probably really want it.
Right.
Where adolescents, it's not about them. Their interest is only so long.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool that some of these things I don't think they would ever really ask about, but because some of these are happening in the movie, they're just them saying, is that how it really happened? Is like, actually, no. And then being able to tell them, it's like you have their attention. And that's been really cool because it's something we may forget to talk about otherwise, And but it's therapeutic is I don't even know if that covers it. Like the way just different parts of it, you just don't realize how much you're going to react to. Like, I've wept at some of the things that never happened. Like, those the most emotional are the things that they've kind of created out of like, hey, we're, there's like her dad who passed away in November. He gave Sam a guitar. Well, there's only so much real estate. So introducing new characters is hard. And so to honor her dad, there's a flashback of when Bart's dad, Dennis Quaid, gives the guitar to him, says, give this to somebody that uses it. So it wasn't my dad that did it, but to them, that's like, this honors, we're trying to combine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then you have an 8-hour movie if you keep.
Right.
So it's stuff like that to where if then you're like, oh yeah, that really happened between her dad and Sam. But Dennis is kind of the vehicle to kind of represent that. And so there's a beauty in that. And so it's like, you're sitting there going, that didn't happen, but why am I sobbing while I'm watching it? So it's been interesting.
Okay, well, we kind of jumped in without being official. So let's go backwards. Yeah. And we would love for y'all to talk about you two, your family, how you met. I saw that story in the first movie, so I do know, but I'd love for you to retell it and how you found your way to the work you're doing too.
So man, where do we start?
It's a lot.
Yeah. It is a lot.
We, I guess, her parents were my second grade Sunday school teachers. And so I've kind of, I guess, in a way, have known Shannon on some level most of my life. She's 2 years younger than me. And it wasn't until, I think, you were in 6th grade. I was in 8th grade, and we were doing Vacation Bible School. And was I running the slide projector? The back when you had the old thing, you had
to turn it.
Oh yeah,
no, it wasn't even the carousel. It was before. It was the one that was like, it was just a roll of words. You had to turn it. It looked like an old projector. It was carousel would have been high tech. But and she was playing piano, and I was like, oh man, I really like her. So we dated. We went together that summer. Where she was going to 7th grade, I was going to high school. And then we broke up at the end of the summer because it was weird me being in high school dating a 7th grader.
Creates your style some.
That's right.
I was
That's right.
And then my junior year, and she being a freshman, we dated for about a year. And then once again, it was weird. I didn't want to date going into my senior year. So
dating a sophomore.
And then she dated a guy for 6 years.
Wow.
After that. And then I went off to Florida, followed my youth minister. We were in Greenville, Texas, outside of Dallas. And my freshman year in college, my father passed away, and my youth minister had moved to church in Florida. And he was like, you should probably get out of Greenville. So I moved and became the junior high, more of a youth intern, but I was a junior high youth minister, I guess. And so while I'm there, I met Mike Schweitzer, our guitar player. He was in the youth group. We started playing like a live worship for the youth group. And then in 94, 30 years ago, we decided that we were going to start MercyMe out of that. We left there. Gosh, I'm kind of chasing rabbits, but it all comes together. We were doing this these mission trips with an organization out of Oklahoma that would go overseas. It was, I don't know if you heard like Teen Mania. This was like the Southern Baptist version of Teen Mania. Okay. Called All Star Ministries. And we would travel with them. And so we went to Switzerland and actually it was like our first time to ever play as MercyMe. And we decided to move to where they were in Oklahoma. And that's our keyboard player was a part of that. So that's when we started the band, moved from Florida to Oklahoma. And that would have been 94 when we moved. And then stayed in touch with Shannon, but we were like best friends. She was still dating this guy, and we just stayed friends and always tell each other who we should or shouldn't be dating. And
so did you approve of the 6-year-old?
No, heck no. I still don't approve. But and at some point, my best friend had gotten married in 96, or no, it would have been January of 97. Yeah, it was. And we ended up back in Texas for this wedding, and not because of each other. We randomly had broken up. She broke up with her boyfriend. I broke up with my girlfriend at the same time. And we just and I went through a deal where I was like, man, I feel like most of my life I've like compared everybody to Shannon and wish it was her. And then all of a sudden we're kind of there, not dating anybody, and got engaged in March and got married in November.
Wow.
That year. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's like... Yeah. We knew. So
you knew.
I knew. I don't know about her, but I knew.
I was cautious. There was 2 breakups for silly reasons.
Yeah.
So, like, you're going to have to prove this.
Good reason.
But,
very cautious, like 6 months.
Well, the Lord showed both of us. Yes. And we knew from that. Like, we prayed about it and came together, and He'd given us the same verse, and we couldn't wait to tell each other, look what the Lord showed me. And vice versa, and it was the same thing. And we were like, what are we doing? Like, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So there was prayer in it.
Yes. That's so good.
It's so fun to hear.
I know.
Well, we're going to circle back to where things went next in your family in a little bit, but let's talk music a few more minutes.
Sure.
So this conversation is part of our summer Music City series, and we'd love to ask you both, was there a band, an artist, a song, or a record that really shaped you growing up?
I mean, we always say that we're the Christian music nerds. Like, the 2 of us loved Christian music growing up. I don't know for him musically, but for me, it was a collection of artists. Russ Taff, Amy Grant, Stephen Curtis. Like, those are childhood staples.
Yes.
But going back even farther, my dad always had music playing in my home. You could hear it down the street. He'd have the windows open, and it's Evie, which is going really far back.
Wow, I remember Evie.
Joni Eareckson Tada.
Yes.
Sang?
Yes, she has an album.
I did not know that.
Yes.
It's hard to find, but yes, she did have one. Elvis.
Yeah. Gotta throw that in.
Gotta throw Elvis in. There was another one he always played.
Dallas Home.
Yeah. Like, and then hymns. Like, all of it for me, like, music is just part of who I am. Like, if you took it away, part of me would die.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just a collection of everything I was exposed to and things I just grew to love.
So good.
My parents divorced when I was 3, and I grew up with my dad and my brother, who's almost 5 years older. And so it wasn't until I got into like youth group age to where I realized there was Christian music. So like Electric Light Orchestra is my favorite band of all time. And like they were like my Beatles before I ever heard the Beatles. And my dad, growing up in Texas, like Willie Nelson, that kind of stuff, like all of that kind of brings like memories. But when I got into youth group, I discovered that there's this, this Christian music I'd never heard of. And so like bands like Petra and like Russ Taff is one of my absolute heroes, and all the ones she named, like that golden age of Christian music to me. Yes. Just had a huge, huge impact where I became obsessed and listened to nothing else, and always dreamed of doing it one day. And, but man, there's, to name a song, man, there's so many like moments in my life that they've become like soundtracks to my life. And, that'd be hard. I mean, knowing I was calling the ministry, I heard a song called Waiting for Lightning by Stephen Gersh Chapman, and just wrecked me. Like when I thought, man, am I supposed to do this? Not knowing what that was, because it was before American Idol, or I don't know how you go about doing it, but we're definitely products of the system, and
for
like,
sure.
That music literally raised me.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, speaking of music being a soundtrack, I think your music has been a soundtrack for a lot of people's lives, and you have had a lot of amazing things you've gotten to do and done in your career. Thinking about that, do you have a moment that's one of those like, what in the world? How did I get here? I mean, your life being made into 2 movies could be one for sure, but is there something else?
There's when it ended up on pop radio, that was one. In some ways, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, because it was so chaotic. But we were doing like First Baptist Church wherever, and then flying to Jay Leno the next night, and and it's just like however many. If we were doing 100 shows, we ended up doing 250 shows. It was like we had to keep up with both, and so it was hard. But looking back, there were some pretty amazing moments. The thing that's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me would be, we had a chance to do Billy Graham's last 3 crusades.
Oh, did y'all really?
And so when he was in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl, it was the same week that Sam, my oldest son, was diagnosed with diabetes. And so we were in the hospital all week, trying to figure out what in the world's going on. This is back when you would stay for 5 days. Now it's like they'll send you home the same day almost. And so we're learning how insulin works and all that stuff. And that was like on a Monday. It was a Monday, because we were at the American Music Awards on Sunday, and we won. I remember calling Shannon saying, hey, because of the time change, I called her next morning and said, hey, we won. Like, can you believe it? And she was like, you need to take Sam to the hospital when you get home. So we got home and literally went straight to the hospital and found out it was juvenile diabetes. And so we were there all week, but I was supposed to fly to the Billy Graham Crusade on Friday. And I remember calling my manager going, I can't do this. And I think this was the first of his 3, like our first chance to ever do Billy Graham. And so it was like a huge honor. I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I remember just bawling in like the commissary of the hospital, like, what do I do? And he goes, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. I'll tell them. And then I got a call a few days later, and he said, hey, like they want to just like, would it be possible if they picked you up on a plane and flew you there? Dr. Graham just wants to pray with you. You don't have to sing. He just wants to bring you and pray for you and pray for Sam. And I'm like, no. And so we had so much family, like, you have to go. And so I remember I'd never been on a private plane. And I grabbed my brother, my cousin, my uncle. I was like, you guys want to go to California and get in and out and see the Rose Bowl? And they're like, heck yeah, we do. So we got on the plane. They picked us up. We flew out. And so we got there, and they escorted us to the Rose Bowl. And so they walk us in, and the band was already there. And so they walk us all in, and there's, people are filing in, it's packed. And so there's these tents on both sides of the stage that are like covered and like fully enclosed. And so they walk us to one side, and the other side, there's a ton of people, ton of press, ton of security. And we're thinking, he's over there, like somebody put us in the wrong spot. And so I was getting like all this way, and I'm watching all this commotion over there. And I was like, somebody tell this intern or whoever, they put it, and they said, just hang tight. So it was just us alone. And we're watching across the stage as whatever's going on over there, flashes are going off and everything. And all of a sudden we hear somebody say, sometimes it's okay if you don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. And we turn, and it's just us and Dr. Graham. And that whole thing was to create a diversion to give him time with us.
Oh my!
No
And they had a
way.
podium, and everybody was waiting for him.
No
goodness.
way.
And so it's just the five of us. I have this great picture. We're shaking his hand, and he turns to me and he puts his hand on the back of my neck and pulls me in and goes, "I'm so sorry about Sam." And he knew my son's name. I just lost it.
Yeah.
And so it was like, what is happening? And so then he prayed, and it's just something about when he prays for it by name, instead of just your son or, and he kept praying, and it was like, and it was so fresh to us. So he gets done, and it was literally like, well, that's all he wanted. Like, you can go if you want. And I was like, there's no, so we were like, we'll at least sing I Can Only Imagine, because that was we were going to do a few songs right before he got and preached, and they didn't ask it of us or anything. We're like, well, we're here. And the guys already sound checked because they weren't sure if I was coming or not. And so we stayed, and we got up and did the one song, and then we stayed a little bit and watched him preach. And then when the altar call started, we bailed, and I was home by 12:30 that night or 1 a.m. And it was the most insane thing ever.
What an amazing story.
So that's by far, we've done some really cool stuff, but nothing holds a candle to that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that story with us. Shannon, we love to ask you, do you have a particular favorite of Bart's songs, and why?
On Undone, Gotta Keep Singing is special to me. I love them all, but for me, I like memories attached to songs, just mean more. And so that's how I'd approach your question. My dad told him he had to keep singing when we were just going through so much. And after losing my brother, and it's just raw. I love when he's just raw and vulnerable. It's like you're seeing into the depths of him. And I feel that when I listen to that song. And then Even If is just kind of our life song, because we've been through a lot. And so every time I hear it, for other people, it's Imagine, and I love Imagine. But for me, it's Even If, because it just reminds me that God's got me, and we just are going to keep having struggles and suffering. But it's just like my motto now, just to, when you're struggling, listen to it. And it just feels the same every time I hear it, I guess is a good way to say that.
Yes.
And now we're going to take a little break to hear from one of our sponsors who makes this podcast possible. David, I have a quiz for you.
Please, not a math quiz. I hate math.
It's a little bit of math, but you got this. Do you know what the second largest organ in your body is?
I wish it were my brain, but I think it's my stomach.
Wrong on both fronts. The liver is the second largest organ in your body. It's responsible for over 500 functions in your body, but for some reason, liver health doesn't always get the attention it deserves.
Over 30% of Americans have a sluggish liver, a problem that often goes undetected until the very last minute.
Dose is on a mission to educate us all on why it's so important to maintain your liver health, and has created an incredible product to help you do just that.
Dose for Your Liver was formulated to cleanse your liver of unwanted elements, aid digestion, and maintain your body's filter. It acts as your body's filter, flushing out unwanted elements and breaking down what you consume into essential nutrients.
Dose's science-backed formula promotes liver function, aids digestion, eases bloating, and even boosts energy levels.
Stick with Dose and feel the incredible benefits over time. More energy, better digestion, reduced bloating, healthier liver enzyme function, reduction in brain fog, and better sleep.
Dose is gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, and vegan.
Save 30% on your first month of subscription by going to dosedaily.co/RBG or entering RBG at checkout.
That's dosedaily.co/RBG for 30% off your first month's subscription. And now back to our show. Okay, well, let's switch back to the movie for a minute.
Yep.
And you've talked a little bit about what it was like, the whole process. But this movie in particular, I Can Only Imagine 2, was there a surprisingly fun or wild story or anything from being on the set for this one that y'all can remember?
Oh, funny.
Oh, man. Gosh. There are some pretty great moments. I'm trying to think if there's one that stood out. Red Rocks was pretty stunning. That
was stunning.
They wanted to end. So my son, Sam, who, part of the story is that he's getting into music, but doesn't know how to, just the premise of the movie, just to give you an idea, is that, since he was diagnosed at 2, I was kind of unaware of, like, I became more of a doctor than I was a friend, or I don't even say, I used to say, or a parent, because that's being part of a parent is being a doctor. But more than a friend to him, it was more like, did you check yourself? Or don't eat that, do eat that, whatever.
Yes.
Checklist.
And never realized how much that was like, that's all he would hear from me, and there was this weird kind of, he was, he felt kind of angry a lot of times. And to where, especially when I would cut up with our other kids, but I'm like, hey, check yourself or whatever. And you get it. And so didn't realize until, later on that it was struggling. And then, like, the first time I ever heard Sam sing was he posted on Instagram when he was probably 15. When we moved here from Dallas, he was 12. We got him in guitar lessons because he was really lonely and struggling. And I knew he was playing guitar, but I'd never heard him sing except for when he's like a very young child. And we're in our room one day and Shannon has Instagram, and I hear this voice. I'm like, man, who is that? That is really, really good. And she's crying, going, it's your son. And I'm started sobbing. I was like, what?
Wow.
There were moments I'd try to slide a phone under his door before, but he would stop and never, it's just, no, you're not going to hear me.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Well, and they had a special relationship with Tim during this time, where Tim was able to pull it out more than I was. It's almost like being a coach of your son in Little League. It's like, I don't,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a little too close situation. And Tim, it just, sometimes you just hear it better from other people. And well, anyway, so that going back to the movie, like just moments of watching, the guy that's playing Sam, and that's what the story's about, is our relationship and how the guys in the band and Tim on the road kind of bridged that gap and kind of brought us together, so to speak, or we could kind of be genuinely honest with each other. And so it was amazing to me. I don't know if it was, a funny story, but everything led up to Red Rocks. And in real life, Sam got to sing he sang a song before I don't want to say open for us, but he kind of did. It wasn't a full, he sang Because He Lives. And our manager set it up to where it was a surprise to me. And so that's kind of, they were like, man, we've got to go to Red Rocks. And so it's just, the whole thing was amazing because we treated it like a regular tour date. So it sold almost 9,000 tickets, and then they all knew they were going to be extras. And so it's one of the top 3 or top 5 biggest amount of extras ever in a movie. Like, yeah, because most stuff is CG'd and just multiplied.
Yes.
I think Dark Knight, when they filmed at the Steelers Stadium during a halftime, is the biggest, and it's up there, is what Lionsgate told us.
Wow, you are.
It's crazy.
That's so
we
cool.
get there, but what was so great was that actors are used to being in a room like this with 20 people behind camera. They're not used to being in front of an audience that large. And so it was pretty fun watching their nerves and how stressed out they were when it's kind of what we do normally. But then it was like, there is an ego there to, when it got going, they were like, oh, I get used to this, and started eating it up pretty good. That whole moment was unbelievable. Just being able to experience them, to see what we do in our element. And then, because we did like an hour set, and then they took an hour and a half to film with the audience. Then we did another hour set after that to keep them entertained.
Wow.
So it was, we just caught lightning in a bottle. And that whole experience was unbelievable. And just watching them, they had to sing Even If probably 20 times over and over and over. And the audience had to act like they heard it for the first time over and over and over. And they were great. They were champs, and they did an incredible job, and it looks awesome. And
okay, having lived this story and now seeing the story come to life in this movie, what would the two of you say you hope folks take away from watching it?
I think for me, I'm kind of a private girl, and it's hard for me to just throw my treasures out to the world easily. And so even doing this movie is a huge step of faith for me. And to go back a little bit, the Lord had been showing me that I'd been kind of saying, okay, Lord, show me what you want for me, and then I'm going to say yes. And not realizing that's not faith at all. And just kind of hit me upside the head the week before they presented this script to us and this idea. And I said, okay, Lord, whatever you want me to do, it's just a scary place, right?
Right.
I'm going to say yes before I say no. And then literally the next week, they're like, we want you to do this. And I was like, oh gosh, can I change my answer? You start having all these feelings. And I just felt like the Lord said, everyone's going to have suffering in their life. And sometimes the church can lead you astray on, if you're a believer, you won't have as much suffering, or God won't give you more than you can handle. Mm-hmm. And I grew up believing that. Mm-hmm. And the story we're showing is not that. And it's been a journey for me to take away the churchisms and realize, what does the word really say? And so for me, I'm just like, our only hope is Jesus. Even if you're going through the muddiest of life, He's going to walk through it with you. He's not going to leave you. He's not going to forsake you. And you're going to make it to the other side if you hang on. And so for me, that's like what I hope people take away that are believers, and then people that aren't believers say, what is it that's different for you that you went through all of this and you're still smiling and joyful? And then they find Jesus in it.
That's good. Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Man, I for me, we throughout this process, like we had a chance to. There were a couple of movie studios that missed the opportunity to be a part of the first one, and so like I've had a chance to meet with some of them since then for different reasons, for different ideas that I'm working on. And at one point they asked, like, man, as far as they call it selling movies to the red states, as far as faith films go, it's how they treat it.
Wow.
And they're like, they wanted to know things like what defines a faith-based movie, because they just thought it had to be stories about Jesus, period. And I'm like, man, it's about a lot of things. Like, most of us are watching your movies. We just want a reason to get behind them. And whether it's faith and family or God and country, all that kind of stuff. And he goes, well, why are they always true stories? Like, why couldn't it be, fiction? I was like, I think it can be, but the true story thing, which was crazy, because talking to these, heads of these massive studios, I felt like I went back to like Evangelism 101 when I was like in fifth grade. Because I was like, man, true stories, they have to be pretty remarkable to be worth telling. And I think a lot of believers are telling pretty remarkable stories about how they've been changed. And I said, and the one thing is, we can argue if the sky is blue, but I was always taught you can't argue about how God changed your life. No one can argue about that, which is, and it's pretty elementary. But to them, it was like rocket science. They were like, this is blowing my mind. And I think all that to say with this movie, the first one was, the redemption story of just being in an abusive relationship growing up, and then seeing my dad come to know Jesus when he was sick, and how he went from person I was scared of to my best friend. And it's just, when people see it, they're like, man, I had a weird relationship with my dad or my son or whatever, and it's got us talking. And I love how there's this happy ending, so to speak. And I love that. But there's part of it was like, man, what's funny is this story, 2004 is the year that Sam was diagnosed. It was it was the same year that it started off with Shannon's brother dying in a car accident. And then Sam was diagnosed, and then Gracie was born premature. And then Shannon's dad at the end of the year had a brain tumor. They thought we had to say our goodbyes. Thank God he survived that. But it was just, there's life before 04 and life after.
Wow.
And that was the very height of imagined success back then too. It was like, man, we got everything we ever wanted, so to speak. And we're hitting it's so rock bottom. And so there's something about, and then this, I always say with diabetes, like, and I hope this is going to sound bad, but when we talk about movies, I was like, diabetes doesn't have the sex appeal of some terminal illness on screen. Like, it's a very underwhelming thing to most people. Well, your kid's still with you. He's somewhat healthy. And I'm like, it is the chronic part of that will just eat you away. It never goes away. And people don't understand that insulin is life support. It's not, and I think because it's somewhat underwhelming to most people, it makes it even harder on those that have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I had a nickel every time I heard it could be worse,
Wow.
Which I don't disagree, but it's like, it's still like my day doesn't change based on what you're saying. And so there was something about bringing attention to that, but the idea of like bringing attention to that, and then that 04 was so hard, but the depression that I felt with my brother-in-law dying, and there's something about being a dad, and it feels like it's your fault, 'cause it's on your watch almost. It's a weird thing that I would struggle with, like, and so there was years of depression, and it was like, to me, like, that's, if that story is just important to be told in this whole, oh, you were a victim and you couldn't help it. And God showed up and it's amazing. And you wrote this great song and that's great. But it's like, hey man, like I had everything I hoped I could have. And there are moments where I'm not abusive, but I'll say the wrong things like my dad would. It's like somehow I'm in the same spot as a father to my son sometimes, of saying idiotic things and not getting it right and stumbling through it. And so there's just a beautiful similarity to like, I'm still like, I'm redeemed, no question, but I'm still in need of redemption daily, so to speak. Like, if that makes sense.
Indeed.
I love the idea that my son and I have an incredible relationship, and it didn't have to end with me dying of cancer or whatever until it fixed. It's like this beautiful thing of watching his career launch and start and stuff. And so to me personally, that was an important story to tell. The first one, somebody approached me, wanted to make the movie. I thought they were crazy, said, okay, good luck. And then it took 8 years to make it.
Wow.
So, I never thought it would. And then got nervous when it finally did, like, oh no, but it was therapeutic. This one was like, when the idea came up, it still wasn't my idea. Somebody wanted to make a movie around Even If, and the more they dug in, they realized instead of making up a story just to use a song, the way you wrote it is the story. And so we stumbled into a sequel. But it's a beautiful story to tell, and I hope that people realize it, man. It's like we're the one thing we all have in common, whether we know each other or not, is that we understand what hurt and what pain is, and it doesn't matter what status we are or where we are in our life. That everybody struggles, and we're more similar than you think, and and so hopefully somebody gets something from it. But it's definitely another father-son thing. I think Shannon, she takes a pretty strong role in this one. It's pretty awesome to see. She's the slap me around, like, get a hold of yourself. Be a man.
I can't wait to see it.
Me too. Me
so
too.
excited. Well, okay, we've talked a lot about Sam. Y'all have 5.
We do.
And you have spanned a lot of development. You are currently spanning a lot of development.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oldest to youngest, what ages are they currently?
Sam is 23.
Sam is 23.
Gracie is 20. Charlie's 19. Sophie's 16. And Miles is 14.
Wow.
I can confirm that's correct. That's true. Yes.
So thinking about them, where they are now, thinking about y'all's early days as parents, what is something you each wish somebody had told you on the front side of parenting?
It's definitely different stages, I guess. Like, raising young children is hard. Teenagers is incredibly hard and amazing. Like, there's a payoff in all of it, but it's just a new set of challenges is what it is. I'm learning what I'm somewhat equipped to handle, and things I'm like, oh yeah, I might need help on that one, especially my daughters. But and now we've got Sam, who's been married for 2 years, and I've been told that, hey, having adult children is challenging. Like, wait till you have grandkids and you have to bite your tongue the way they parent. I'm like, oh man. But that's, I can't say I wish somebody had told us, because a lot of people did share that with us of like, it's man, I don't know if I'd ever be prepared for the way things change, but teenage years it's been challenging. And I think we always worry. I was just talking to somebody last night about this. He said, man, he goes, I've treated being a parent like the end result will be the payoff. Like, he's doing all of this stuff, and he would say to almost a legalistic extent of like, do this, so you'll be a great person one day. And he was like, and then I realized in the middle of it, he goes, what am I doing? Like, I've missed the journey. I've missed how amazing they are now, because I'm thinking they're going to be a great adult or a great. And he goes, and I almost lost it. And he's about to send his twins to college. And he's like, I thought I was doing right. And I was so very organized, and this is plan A, and we're going to keep doing this. And he was like, I had to let it go and just enjoy what's right in front of me. And he goes, realizing that that's the most I can, like, that's going to invest more in their lives than all of this plan I had, is just being present and cheering them on when it's not, because he's like, we could all be better. And he goes, I was almost like the sports dad that was like, oh, you could throw it a little bit better, instead of the fact that he's just throwing. I remember he actually said that, instead of just, you're throwing it now, and that's amazing. And so that was just yesterday, and it was really beautiful to hear him say that, and just like, I don't know if I've been that way, but it did still remind me that, I struggle with being present. I very much struggle with being present. And so it's next thing you know, they're not going to, they're not going to be there. And but.
Yeah, I think a couple of things come to mind. That every child is different. And so you get the parenting book and you're like, here's my rules. And they don't always work, because every child is very different and you have to love them and discipline them differently.
Yeah.
That's a challenge. Because I went in thinking, if I just do this, it's going to be great. I'm present. I love them. I know what to do. And then when you get a curveball, it's like, whoa, hold on a second. And that it's always changing. You don't ever nail it down. I didn't know that. And I think being present, instead of looking ahead what you want for them or what you think they should be doing, just enjoy them in the moment. And I think my biggest thing, I kind of stumbled into this, was in that teenage time frame. Like when they give you the, I don't want you around, that you're supposed to still jump in and like smother them with love and like, I'm still here, whether you want me or not. I just responded at first with my first couple because, they don't want me right now. And I had to kind of stumble in learning, you don't respond by the way what they're giving you, you just respond. And I'm like, and I have to remind myself still to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just not a natural thing. My natural thing would be to pull back.
Yeah. Well, you feel rejected.
Yes.
Too.
I don't like that. But
yeah.
But there's a payoff when you push in anyway.
Yes.
You see the reward and you're like, oh, I get it.
Yes.
We had a lot years ago, I don't even remember who said it, but they told me early on being parents, they're like, just never forget that they said the only F word not allowed in your house. I was like, well, of course we all know that. And he goes, it's fair. I was like, wait, hold up. And he goes, some are going to need you more than others. And you've got to be willing to, to stop when that one is. And I guess maybe God knew to say it that way, because I've never forgotten it. And I've said that to so many people. Like, the other one's not allowed either, but there's a more important one.
Yeah.
So good.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Well, we talk a lot on this podcast about the importance of a mother's intuition. And Shannon, in the time that we have known you, we have both witnessed you are incredibly intuitive as a parent.
Amen.
And would love to just ask you, will you talk some about how that has impacted your parenting? And even what encouragement would you give to moms regarding the superpower of intuition?
Goodness. Well, I appreciate your comment. That's very kind.
It's very true.
Very true.
I think I've grown into understanding the gift of discernment. And I just thought it was just something I was aware of, not really necessarily something that was part of me. And if that makes sense, I learned, children will do this too, to self-evaluate a lot. And anytime I just felt this nudge or this something inside of me, I learned to just lean in. And I figured I'd rather pursue it, and I could be totally wrong, than to not acknowledge it. And time after time, the Lord has just been so gracious in even when Sam was struggling being low, for example, I would feel this nudge of, you should go check on him. And then there's this situation I need to help him with. And I guess just leaning into that more times than not, I realized there's something to that and I need to always do that.
Yes.
And so I think my encouragement is listen to your gut, because it's always usually going to steer you the right way. And it's just been a blessing. And there's hard times in leaning into that also. Like you get rejection and argumentative people, and when you know you need to do it, you just keep doing it. So that's just how I'm living life.
And what a gift to your kids long term.
Amen.
That they will say someday, if not yet.
We hope.
Yes. Well, speaking of those amazing humans and when they can have more difficult stages, let's talk about teenage years, because y'all are experts on teenagers at this point. Had quite a few.
We're experts.
I don't know about that.
Well, what would you say to any parents of teens listening? What encouragement would you give them? What practical?
I would, and I was wanting to say this earlier, was that we're really honored to be here because the two of you specifically have been a big part of our lives. And, when we first moved here, when Sam was 12, and that was the hard, the other kids were like rubber back then, but 12 was hard and he struggled. Man, I've always, for years, when it comes to sharing the gospel, I always said this and realized it applies to our life personally. There's this thing we call the father of the bride syndrome. And if you remember that movie, there's a scene where Steve Martin tells his daughter, it's cold outside, you should get a jacket. She's like, whatever, Dad, I'll do what I want, whatever. And then immediately after that, the fiance comes in and says the same thing. She's like, oh my gosh, you're right. It's so cold. I'll grab my jacket. And sometimes, no matter how much we're trying to say the right thing or whatever, it just needs to be said from a different voice. Mm-hmm. And it's and that's very important. Instead of, I must be saying something wrong, hopefully can make it right. No, man, hopefully it's you. You're saying the same thing. They just need to hear it from somebody else. And that's where we were when Sam was 12. And a dear friend of mine, I believe it was Mark Nicholas, that was like, hey, there's this guy, Dave, at Daystar, and he totally gets the whole diabetic thing, and Sam should see him. And even though, to me, looking back, was such a very, very short season, like it was monumental to Sam. Like he still talks about it, even though I thought, oh, we should have gone longer, or we didn't, whatever. And it was like that time was like, you forget how moldable they are at that age. And you with Gracie, and so that, what I would tell parents of teenagers is it doesn't mean you're saying it wrong. It's like, just be okay to find another voice that can, if nothing else, be backup and ammunition to what you're already trying to do. And don't be afraid to, like, I've told people a million times, counseling it's absolute. You have to have it. And in my own life and their lives, it doesn't mean we didn't get it right. Doesn't mean there's something necessarily wrong. It's just sometimes you need voices to be saying the same thing and agreeing. Shannon's, man, she pours into them and sometimes just bounces off them like they just don't hear a thing. And then for Sam is also, Tim Timmons could say the same thing and he hears it. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. It's not I was trying to say that, listen to me. It's like, I will take it anywhere I can get it. And so it takes a village, man. And that's the thing I would tell most parents is that, find people that, to help you and to be the megaphone and echo and whatever it takes to get through to them what you've been saying all along. Because I do believe we're seeing that with Sam, but I do believe that at some point, most kids are like, oh yeah, you were right. Oh yeah, you weren't as crazy as I thought. And we see that in Sam being married. It was like, oh, this is what married life's like. And, and so that would be the most important thing to me is that, man, help is, it's not always a sign of I'm drowning. Yeah. It's just, it can reinforce what you're already doing.
Mm. Yeah.
I would second that. Community is vital. And a lot of times they just don't, either they don't hear us or they don't want to hear us, whichever it is. And then your best friend can say the same thing. And they are like, she gets all the praise. And I think a big thing is to be humble and be able to accept that. Because that's been kind of hard on my journey with one of mine is she doesn't want to hear anything I want to say. And then somebody else will say it. And I'm like, oh, I said that. Almost like I want the praise. And I'm like, what is that, Shannon? Stop. Like, just be grateful that she heard someone say that. And so for me, it's humility in the process and also show up and just be present. Don't feel like if I don't have the tools, I'm not going to show up. Well, they just want you. So just show up and love them. It's almost so simple, it's hard,
Yes.
So good.
It's a great way to say that.
I think the biggest thing that we learned that was huge, I know it was huge for me, it was both of us, was when they started hitting those teenage years, or even probably younger than that too, everybody was like, man, your kids are so amazing, but they were just jerks at home. And we were like, why are they? And I remember always kind of joking about, well, I'm glad you're getting the good one. Cause and somebody along the way told us, because I didn't grow up this way. I grew up in a always afraid, and a dad that I was like, if I do anything wrong, something bad's going to happen. So I didn't grow up in a healthy environment. But, and I'm sure you guys know this, but it was huge for us. And they said, sometimes when you're in a healthy environment, these kids have to work out these emotions. And when when they're amazing everywhere else, but they come home and you just see the worst of them, there's a part of them that feels safe to do that, to try this stuff out, knowing you're still going to love them, you're not going to leave them. Right. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like in tears going, no clue. This is like Spanish to someone. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. And I've told so many new parents and stuff, we both have, of like, sometimes that's a great sign of a healthy environment, because they need a place to figure these emotions, especially at puberty, these emotions out, knowing they're not going to be punished, or there's no penalty, or you're still going to love them. And man, there's been times when I want to fight them, and I'm like, I'm hanging on to that. Somehow this is healthy. But we've told, I'm trying to think of things we've told people that are kind of earlier in the journey, and that's the things. Yeah, that's definitely one of them.
So good.
You two, we have absolutely no desire to land the plane on any conversation with you all. We will, because we respect your time, and you too. But we have one last question. But before we ask that, will you just tell folks where can they find and follow all the things with the new movie, all the incredible things you're doing?
Yeah. The movie releases February 20th of 26 in theaters everywhere. And then, MercyMe.org is our website, and all of our music's wherever you stream music. And so, you can find it. If you Google it, it should show up at some point.
Awesome. And we highly recommend it. Okay, we end every episode with something fun and food related. So we jump from the substantive to the silly, and we have a 2-part question. Part 1 is queso or guac. Part 2 is what's your favorite taco?
And y'all lived in Texas for a while.
Oh, yes.
You got some great.
This is right up our alley here. For me, I'm the special one that likes guacamole, no onions.
Gross.
That's my first choice. Usually have to make it myself because everyone wants onions in their guacamole. I'm like, I don't understand. So guacamole, no onions.
Okay.
Yeah.
No guac ever.
Yeah.
Or onions. I am queso all day. Like if you cut me, there's queso. I am all day queso. Yeah, guac. I ain't got time for guac.
Favorite taco? My favorite is the cauliflower taco at Mojo's.
Oh.
Very different.
I've never been there.
Oh,
What?
it's so good.
You got to go to Mojo's.
Yes.
Man. Great.
It's so good. And it sounds bizarre.
It's
but
legendary.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that on my list.
I'm just a hard shell ground beef, lettuce, cheese, and sour cream. Like hers is all fancy. Mine's basically a taco supreme at Taco Bell with no tomatoes. That makes me pretty happy.
Great. Y'all, thank you. It is such a gift to sit down with the two of you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Thank
absolutely.
you. We feel privileged.
David, what a team we have that we get to call friends who help make this podcast possible. Chris Starrett, our engineer.
Our management team at KCH.
And we are thrilled to be a part of the That Sounds Fun network.
Our music was created by the insanely talented Dave Haywood of Lady A.
And if this podcast felt helpful to you, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all the things.
We are grateful for you and cheering you on always.